So from a growing industry, there's a lot of negatives that go into it. We'll touch on the positives a bit later. There's a lot of positives, but there are some negatives that come along with it, just like any business.
First thing is an obvious one. Our industry is quite, territorial, right? Because it's, and I mean that because we're geographically limited. So most businesses now, if you think about it, especially in the e-com space, you have the whole globe to serve. I mean, that's the beauty of the internet, right?
Yeah.
So we're still in this ancient age where we're locked in by, for the most part, locked in by people that can travel to see us. Now, building a better branding and community, you do have a larger pool. Like we have people that drives 40 minutes, 45 minutes come to our gyms.
Yeah, wow. Decent
amount of it. And that's something that we're very appreciative of. But if they live in Sydney and we're in Melbourne, it's a bit hard to make the commute. So because of that, right, if you have certain competitions open too close to you, for that specific spot, it's very hard to operate. And the competitive landscape could be completely different to a different spot. This is very hard for small independent businesses like ours. Not so much for the big franchises and corporates, because they don't expect every single one of them to be that profitable. But when your livelihoods and the livelihood of your staff members is dependent upon that particular gym, one competition could change everything for that, or at least for a small period of time. So you better have enough reserves to prepare for these things. There's really nothing you can do about that. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that one negative I'll say, so I wouldn't put it down to competition, because they exist in every industry. But I mean, because we're geographically limited, we end up fighting for the people that live in the same geographical location.
Yeah, right. So as opposed to the internet, where there might be a similar, let's say there's a similar number of businesses, but because their service is basically worldwide, then they have much larger of a pool. Whereas, you know, in one suburb, you could have a couple gyms and then all of a sudden you're fighting for a limited amount of people. You can't increase the amount of people that are really going to go to that one gym.
You have less ability to, you can pull people from other suburbs and start try and do different services, sell some products and do some online subscription models. But point is, if your bread and butter is providing the service for a place for people to come in and train as a community or something, it's limited by physical location.
Yeah. I think that's probably the biggest friction point for the younger kind of entrepreneurial types entering brick and mortar businesses, as opposed to what you're referring to as like the e-commerce space, where you can, you know, have very, very minor upstart upfront costs and upfront friction to, you know, you create a website, you can start posting on social media with your iPhone, which basically every person has. Whereas, getting into a gym, you got to find a specific location. The upfront costs are a lot higher. I know we made a video about this not too long ago, but explaining the costs that go into it and the expenses. And one of the comments was relating to like, this is why people don't get into brick and mortar businesses, and e-commerce is like definitely the way. Although I think there's definitely pros and cons to both. I think a lot of people would prefer to be in a brick and mortar space, maybe because it's vastly easier to comprehend and understand, and you see it like right in front of you. Whereas I think the e-commerce space, while there's plenty of opportunities, there's also plenty of competition. You're entering a worldwide landscape where the best of the best rise to the top. So it is difficult. But one barrier of entry, you said, or one component of the gym space that is like a profit builder is the PTs and the coaching and all this. But you said that can be a negative as well.
Yeah. And that's my point on, I call it low barrier of entry. But what I mean there is the downside is the lack of credibility from the public's perception. And my greatest example here is during the pandemic period, the fitness industry was the longest, or one of the longest lockdown industries in our country. Longer than brothels, for crying out loud. Longer than pubs and bars. But our neighboring industries like allied health could operate throughout. And obviously they have a watchdog in their industry that regulates them. And obviously you have to study 3, 4, 5 years to be into that industry. But so I do agree that for someone, if you think about this for a second, for someone to be a anybody can go online and do stuff these days. You probably have like online doctors these days, right? We're not touching that side. But let's just say like a nationally recognized qualification, certificate 3 and 4 in fitness, you're allowed to go and coach people. You can be completely overweight, never touched a weight before, to be qualified in like between 3 to 6 months. Probably even less.
So I think it's 12 weeks.
Wow. I mean, that's
12 weeks is normal.
You can do that online.
Yep.
So Most people that get into the industry because they do love it and they probably have been training themselves for years. But that's not what is required. So I think that low barrier of entry it creates less barriers so people try this and it becomes like an industry I want to try when I'm studying in uni or when I'm in between jobs.
Yeah.
It's that easy for anyone to just give it a go and not really commit to it. So I do think that creates a perception of not something that I want to commit to.
What do you mean?
Not something that I want to commit to a career I'm doing.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so that I think it's a downside for me.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like it has to have a high barrier of entry to be good, but yeah, it's just you don't know if somebody's just. I'm a personal trainer. I just decided that 4 months ago. Now I'm qualified.
Yeah.
And would you hire me to trust me with your clients?
Yeah, qualification doesn't always equal competency. In this case, it's at the extreme level.
Yeah, versus someone that's committed 4 years of studies that goes, I'm really committed.
Yeah.
So I do find it a bit, that reputation is a bit hard to justify.
Yeah, it's tough. I think the onus goes on to the individual business then.
Correct.
To use the filtering system that they can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I got my Cert 3-4, the people that I was doing with, I thought, in 12 weeks, these people are going to go train clients. Oh my God, that is terrifying. Because I remember thinking like these people don't even know what a deadlift is or anything to even begin with. And I was like, oh God, that's not a good state for the industry to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a tricky one, but it's one of those things. What can you really do to solve that? Because you can't, to put PTs through like a year-long course is like too much, I think. But I don't know what you can do. Unless you start working in a gym and you have to be working in a gym environment and then, I don't know, they have to increase the criteria.
It is onto the business owners, individual business owners. But the overall, that's what I meant. And then that's why the whole word of I'm a coach. I mean, the people even don't even like the word personal trainer anymore because they want to steer away from I'm more than a personal trainer, I'm a holistic
I'm a strength and conditioning coach. And
right. I'm going to get some so but that already proves you there's a problem with people want to, when you don't want to associate with a word, there's a problem with that.
Yeah.
I think, so I look, that's just one of the upside is there's an upside to that too. I mean, a lot of people can experience and get in.
Yeah.
But I do feel like, because I love this so much, and I'm committed. I've been doing this for 14 years, and I'm only 36. That gives you an idea how much time I put into this.
Yeah.
To be sometimes lumped together with people that just decided this 4 months ago, it is a bit like I wish there was a better reputation from the public's perception.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I guess it's just playing the field a bit and seeing what specific trainer or coach suits you and can provide you with your needs. It might take some timing, but if you get burnt once as like a consumer point, I wouldn't be too afraid. There's probably plenty of very, very credible and solid coaches out there that can help you. In terms of capital, this is a negative. Like we alluded to with e-commerce, it's a lot less of a barrier to entry, but that's a negative in this space.
Mainly capital needed to scale.
Right.
I don't mind capital starting something up. I think a lot of industries might need some capital to start. But capital for us to scale, because one facility, this is kind of the same with all service location-based businesses. If they have a physical space, you'll run out of capacity in that space.
Yeah.
For gyms is probably number of members. And then if you want to maintain that service quality, you essentially have to open up a new site, and that's a huge investment.
Yeah.
Depending on the footprint, it could be very expensive.
Yeah. So why is it, if you compare it to like a cafe, which is a very simple thing, like in Melbourne, we have so many cafes, but there's very little cafe chains. Is that a similar issue that they would face? Is this just a brick and mortar issue, or is it a gym specific issue?
You hit a good point. I think the fact that there are not that many cafe chains might be some other thing. But yeah, similar to cafes, I'm sure there's a limitation, given that they've maximized their seatings. I'm sure there's a limitation to how many they can serve, and people might just have a line out the door and whatever.
Yeah.
And then what they will make on income other than increase. So there's a few ways you can increase your revenue, right? Increase your quantity, increase the price that you charge, decrease your cost, or increase the value of things that you deliver, you sell. But we don't have the one more. Like once that customer is full, it's
Yeah.
You know, in a products business, you can increase variable cost to just make more products. So scaling an e-com business for people, generally speaking, you just if you're in like drop shipping stuff, you're just scaling ads. But scaling like our business, it means, well, you need a process systems besides all the, you have to have physical locations. And when you mean scale for a small business, you might just scale for the next 1 or 2 sites. You have to have some serious financial power to scale 10, 20, 50 sites.
100%, yeah. Whether that be an injection of heaps of cash. But yeah, it's a good point in terms of like an e-commerce space, because you can hit so many different more people. So if your ads are working, just expand it and find more clientele that way. But yeah, once you hit, it's not easy by any means, but you know, for a good gym to hit capacity is the goal and should be doable if they're a solid system. But well, yeah, once you hit that, it's like, what can you really do besides opening another gym in another area to hit more of the demographic?
More. Yeah, you can charge more. Essentially, you lose one avenue to scale.
Yeah,
which is that quantity.
Yep. What's your view on that then in pricing? Like, I think it's very affordable, especially compared to other gyms and what the gym's offering. Why does it not cost more?
Because that comes down to downside number one, the competitive landscape in a geographical location.
Yeah.
We used to be one of the cheaper ones in the industry, but now with a lot of large scale chains coming in, I would say we're probably mid-tier now. Isn't it crazy how you can pay for a week's membership at a gym for less than what you spend on one lunch meal?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But what we charge now is what I used to pay at Fitness First, the gym I used to go to when I was 16. And that price hasn't gone up for 20 odd years.
Insane. Yeah.
Crazy. If you look at it, cost has gone up. So yeah, this industry obviously has gone more saturated. People have gotten better at running it, such as 24-hour operations, which reduces the cost. Yeah, there's a lot of other things, but it's hard. I mean, for us because we're a consumer-based business and we need the numbers to make money, right? It is very, like, my brain is telling me we should increase our cost, but it takes a lot of courage to do that. And if you get it wrong, it's pretty hard to move back downwards.
Yeah, of course.
It's a bit easier, hence why a lot of boutique places where they charge a bit more, they are a little less sensitive to increases. It's, $1, $2.
Yeah,
it's not a huge percentage.
Yep.
But for us, we're still sort of in the quantity game. Yeah, it's pretty hard to charge more, and to people are not in the best state of economic situations right now in Australia. So
it's hard to get it right. Yeah, for sure.
Right, yeah.
But it has gone up. So because I started the gym 10 or so years ago, it's gone up, like not a crazy amount, but a reasonable amount. Yeah. And yeah, it's a dangerous balancing act.
We did. Like a few years ago, we did do that. And every time we increase our pricing, even just by like $1, makes a huge difference to our top line.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just haven't done that for the past 2 or 3 years because there has been quite a few low tier pricing competitors that came in. And for me, the way I see it is always like, let's make sure that we can, because our business did sort of take a hit in a way with a lot of competitors entering in.
Yeah.
So we thought, all right, well, it's kind of like advice that I give to like a young personal trainer coming in. I always say, don't come in charging $200 for a session. You'll end up getting one client and you make $200 a week. But instead, just start free or start like $1. Once you're packed out, you can honestly say my time is worth more now.
Yeah.
So I'm more so saying, can we reach close to capacity first before we honestly say we can't take in any more members? We got to increase our price because we're okay turning away customers. Yeah,
it's tough. You look at like the Netflixes and all this stuff, subscription model things where they year over year they increase the rate by like 50 cents or even more sometimes. To the point where it's probably, it started at $5 and then now it's probably like $20, $25. And yeah, I don't know what their process is, but they seem to get it right pretty consistently. Sure, there's some drop off, but 50 cents every year for 10 years adds up a lot on the top end. Yeah. What about staff from the state of staff back to profit? What does that look like?
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's one of my downsides on, I call this the management tax, right? Or you can look at it as revenue per staff member. If you have a look at my greatest example to this is but this is one odd example. This is an extreme example.
Yeah.
The fastest growing e-com company right now is Comfort Hoodies. Comfort Hoodies. The guy's name, I think, is Hudson in America. He scaled that to almost $500 million USD in a matter of a few years. The guy's in
Crazy.
his 20s. And he's only got a team of 10. A team of 10 staff members generate $500 million in sales.
Unbelievable.
That's $50 million per staff member. I mean, for us though, if you have a look, we have like 30 staff members. So I have 3 times the staff members as him. My business does like 1%, a little more than 1% of what he does. Maybe 1% of what he does. So I have 10 times the management tax and effort. So each staff doesn't generate as much revenue. So you've really got to be a people person to, otherwise this is going to run you down.
Right. Okay.
A lot of you're constantly managing member issues, constantly managing staff issues, trying to make staff members happy, reward the good ones, get rid of the bad ones, both members and staff. And this is probably 90% of our manager's day.
Right.
And the rest 10% is probably sales. Maybe not 90%, but a majority of their day.
Yeah. Is that a bug or like a part of the system?
I think this is what it is. If you want, I think that actually is the game. That is the work. The work isn't in let's design the equipment in a way where people like it is, but it's nowhere near as important. But getting your community right, getting your team and members and your environment correct, that's how we deliver a good service.
Right.
So yeah, they constantly strike. Think about this. Like we would, for a gym with 2,000 members, believe it or not, our industry has like 50% churn, if not higher. So every year you got 1,000 people leave and 1,000 new members come in. 1,000 people you don't know who they are, what their background is.
Right. Yeah.
Chances are you're gonna 10% of them bad. There's 100 bad people, and just managing them 100 bad people. That's like 2 a week.
Yeah.
You gotta have to deal with.
Yeah, it's a lot. So that leads on to like high sales pressure then in terms of the turnover of clientele, and that just is industry standard. But what is high sales pressure then when it comes to that?
Yeah, this is something I didn't expect, that I didn't know when I got into the gym. I actually, people don't understand this. Alex Hormozi made a really good comment on this and how it was just a punch in the air, like, yeah, this is correct. And people think that the gym business, or the business that you get into, and you get into it after a few years, you find the real business that you're in.
Yeah.
And it's different for all businesses. For the gym business, I thought is about results and training, the obvious one. Obviously, there's an element of that in there. But the real business, a lot of it is sales and marketing. Because the churn is so much higher than what you'd expect. You think that people buy a year membership, they just stay. No, the truth is people move around. It's very hard to keep them. It's very high competitive. So you got to gain new ones.
Yep.
So yeah, every single week, you are trying to gain new customers.
Yeah, it's a different, if we take the cafe example, they're not just going to all of a sudden stop drinking coffee. If that's their local, they're going to always be there. But people give up on the gym pretty,
People actually want to give up on the gym.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You got to work to retain these people, because the gym is like, it's an effort.
Yeah.
It's something that, some people absolutely love and they'll be there every day, but good portion of people are just like, it's one of those things that, I've just got to do it. And then they'll be very happy to cancel their membership at some stage. So it's tricky. But everyone will, be first in line to go get their morning coffee. So yeah, it's a tough industry. Those are some negatives, but there's a whole lot of positives on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about forecasting?
Biggest business positive here that I think compared to other business owners is how easily I can manage my cash flow.
Yeah, right.
Even though our churn is high, but cancellation period, generally speaking, you have to have at least 2 weeks or a month cancellation notice. Because you debit by the week or 2 weeks, right? So even when they cancel on the dot, technically you have that 2 weeks notice. So most products businesses might make sales one day and none the next. It's so hard. They fluctuate day by day. Black Friday, they make their year. And then right afterward, it's like gone.
Yeah, right.
So for us is we have seasonal periods. It's very easy to predict. But it won't be like all of our dollars coming one day and none the next.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one. Yeah. There's a holiday destination in Melbourne, Sorrento. And I was talking to the bottle shop there, and I was saying we were buying some alcohol for Christmas. And I was like, how is this your busy period? Like, how much of the revenue is like done here? And they're like 33% of their yearly sales is 1 week.
1 week.
Between Christmas and New Year's. Yeah. So how do you forecast for that? Like, what if you have a bad Christmas and like, I don't know, no one comes in?
It's a third
and
of
it's
my
like,
revenue.
see you later. So it's tricky. So it's consistent, predictable. Yeah. That's for someone who loves numbers, it's probably like really nice.
Yeah. Or if actually it's good for people that don't understand it because it's a little easier on you.
Yeah.
You know, every year you sort of like, you can easily see when something's wrong.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah. What about recruitment pool?
That's a good one. Even though it's a lot to manage, I find that it's generally not hard to get people to work for you in the fitness or gym industry. People love this.
Yeah.
It's easier to find people that are passionate about this. Your members generally is quite a good pool. I mean, for us, because we also have a younger demographic and our team is pretty young. So a lot of them train in the gym that they enjoy the community of, they want to be a part of it. So we find, that's a positive. We don't always have to go and recruit from the cold pool where we don't even know anything about this person. So yeah, I think compared with, I always, because I talk to a cleaning business owner, it's a completely different story. It's very hard to find. It's not hard for them to make sales.
Yep.
It's very hard for them to find good cleaners.
Yeah.
But for us, it's kind of opposite. We have sales pressure,
Yeah.
but we also can take on staff members.
It's a desirable industry then for people to work in.
For younger people, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit less, well, as you said, you did say there's pressure, there's sales pressure, but it's enjoyable. It's a good environment. You know, you're always talking to people. You're always kind of, you know, everyone's going to the gym. A lot of the time they're in a good mood. You know, they're not, I don't know, they're not pissed off at something. So it's a good system for someone young to be in.
Correct.
Yeah. Disruptions. What about if you get rocked the boat, you know, the waves are a bit high tide. What does the industry look like?
Okay. What I mean here is I actually think the fitness industry or the gym business is quite robust to like technological interruptions. There have been countless apps trying to disrupt this industry, like ClassPass, like I don't know, Fitness Passport and stuff. It's sort of just never taken off like something like Uber would for like the taxi industry, for the same reason that Starbucks had a hard time fighting, you know, beating the independent cafes in Melbourne.
Yeah.
People really enjoy this as a part of their community. So it's very hard to quantify why they enjoy going to a place. So it's also hard to replicate. So I think, I don't think, I can't, I could be wrong. People are always wrong, but I can't see this industry being heavily impacted even by AI. I think many people are just coming here for that people interaction. I actually think it might even help it.
Yeah.
I just think things like run clubs, like, you know, breath work retreats, things to do with communities, getting people together for positive reasons. It's not gonna only remain, but will be the few industries that won't be heavily interrupted by it.
Yeah. I think like sports, the gym, as you said, run clubs, things that get people moving about, like exercising and also a social aspect in it as well. Yeah, they'll probably just become even more valuable as time goes on, and technology kind of, you know, with work, maybe more at the computer, less like face-to-face type of stuff, then that will just continuously improve. I think will be that one industry that won't be affected, surprisingly.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Touch
at the
wood,
end,
who knows?
At the end, I mean, it disrupts, but we're a service. People come here for that human interaction. It's kind of hard to replace a human in the human interaction part.
100%. On that, given that it's people-centric, in terms of the satisfaction from the work, what does that look like compared to other spaces?
Yeah, the feedback that I get from managers and staff members is this is definitely fulfilling work. It's not necessarily very difficult work. It's very fulfilling in the sense where you say, if you're a personal trainer, every day you have your clients, this might sound bad, but telling you about their problems and over the months and the years, you see you make that better and you have like a direct impact on that. That's so fulfilling.
Yeah,
you're literally changing lives.
Yep.
If you're a customer service walking to the front desk, your hello and your buys will make them smile. They tell you about their problems. If you're a manager, you get to develop your staff members. So either way, I mean, isn't that what people want? It's just to be able to help people. You definitely get that in this industry.
It's an industry built on that.
Yeah.
100%. Do you think there's gym people, like, so the people who worked in the gym that aren't fit and healthy? Do you think that exists?
It's hard. They probably are, but it's hard. And they probably won't be successful in the long term.
it's not really good proof of concept.
Yeah, I always just imagine like a dentist doing your teeth and he has like black teeth.
Yeah.
It's not. You might not want to go back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to. That's another positive where you're kind of forced. And I realized this when I hang out with friends that are not in the industry. I'm 36. I feel like I'm 26 amongst a bunch of 20-year-olds all the time. But my friends are all quite more, let's just use the word, more seasoned and mature than me. And I feel like that I might carry on like this for the next 5-10 years. So it's very hard not to be fit and healthy
in the
when
environment.
You're in this industry.
Yeah. So you kind of become, you're part of your environment.
Yeah.
You know, when you're around that, you raise your level and you get inspired and you think, well, I'm here, I might as well.
Yeah. And I'm not the fit and the healthiest one in the group. That's a funny thing.
Right.
It's just the norm. Like I have to.
Yeah.
But around other people, other environments, I'm the fit and healthy one. And I realize, oh my God, I didn't ask for this. I mean, I enjoy it, but this happens to be a bonus.
Yeah. If everyone's doing push-ups, you might just get down and do some push-ups.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do see this a lot, just from like the YouTube space where like specific YouTubers who are in the fitness industry will hire videographers or whatever the hell. And then over time, they're like a part of the vlogs or whatever. And then they just start working out themselves. Like they haven't really been in the gym, but all of a sudden they're like making their own transformation just because they're around it. It's infectious. Yeah, it's super infectious.
Yep.
Curious about the profit side of things, because if you look across the gym space as a whole, the margins can be relatively thin.
Yep.
I think from your own personal perspective, you've done a really good job at finding specific things to increase the margins. What do you think as a whole the margins are like in the gym space?
Okay, I'll be so transparent on this. If you download the IBIS industry report, which you have to pay like $1,000 a download.
So we'll save you $1,000.
Yeah. It'll tell you the net profit margin is somewhere between like 4 to 6%.
Yeah, right.
It's quite low.
Yeah.
Now you got to take in consideration, that's probably true, but you got to take consideration that a lot of big, large franchising corporates are in here. And when you got new gyms that's opening 50 gyms a year, they got to run their profit and loss for that year. But I guarantee you, most of them aren't making money. They're still in that dip stage, right? But I also have an industry benchmark that I've gotten from insight sources. That number's a lot higher. Let's just say that if you can do more than 10% profit margin, it's okay. Yeah. So if you're in the gym industry, you're doing more than 10% on average. This is between the margin will be higher for like boutique spots and a little lower for the like larger quantities and stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're doing more than 10%, if you're doing more than 15%, it's freaking great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think the larger big players care that much about their profit margins? Or are they happy with the 4 or 3%?
No. So this is a business lesson for viewers that don't understand. This is how essentially private equity firms, a lot of them make money. So business valuation is based upon one way of calculating it is times off your EBITDA. So times off your profit is how much let's just say that you have a business that makes $100,000 profit. 100,000 times by 3, it's probably the value of a business. That number could be 3, could be 4, could be 5, depending on the industry, right?
Yep.
So in this case, you have a $300,000 business. If you have, now let's just say that business is one cafe. You might have a $300,000 cafe.
Yep.
But if you have 50 of that same cafe and you also make $100,000 each from that one, the valuation of that multiplier doesn't go on 3 anymore. You might go by a 6 or a 10. So all of a sudden, each one is worth 600,000. So these big corporates, they're scaling by quantity, not for profit. They just want to make sure that their investors are growing their investment. And you can do that by making profit or by doing scale.
Yep.
And in this case, they're doing it by scale. So they sacrifice profit, especially in the beginning. They kind of need to. They're using all that fund to open and not really getting enough memberships just yet.
So is it scale to sell effectively or?
Could be. I mean, if it's a public listed company or if it's a place where people are investing in, it's not, I mean, they're always considering selling. People just, it's how much, it's a stock market.
At what price?
Yeah, essentially what it's worth, right? It could then, so I just think like, if you look in the long term of a successful, profitable business, a good foundation would make sure that it serves a purpose as a business. It's not to generate money, but to serve a customer. So I love the industry. So I decided to scale or grow the slow way, which profit is very important to me. Hence why I have to aim to get on the higher end of that profit. But the industry's one's low because a lot of them are done by big corps and they just pop them out like Skittles.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's tricky. It's a little bit like the Coca-Cola thing. So Coke is it per can? I think per can they earn like 3 cents, 3% profit margin. But they just do that at like huge amounts of scale. So for every can of Coke they sell, it's 3 cents. But they sell, 100 million a day or something. Adds up pretty well.
Yeah. Also, so that's another good point. That's a different point. It means like big companies obviously have a smaller percentage of margin because they have scale.
Mm-hmm.
If you Google the statistics, I think in Australia, 90% of service businesses that do more than $1 million in revenue has 10% or less net profit margin.
Right.
But if you lower that number to like 500,000, that becomes like 25% profit margin. Because a lot of the times the owners are working it themselves. They're not really paying their own wage. So their wages got to be included in the profit margin. And also it's easier per se to make higher profit margins when the revenues are lower.
On the gym note, do you think it's an easy industry to, I suppose, offer a very valuable product?
I think it's already very good value. I think it's I think from what you get out of a gym membership, fucking hell, like I think it's great value because in America it's probably even cheaper than us, but we're like $15 a week for a gym membership. Access all time. I think that's freaking already such good value, man.
Yeah,
that's great value. I struggle to find anything else. Just like maybe Netflix, Amazon. I struggle to find anything else with such good value.
Yeah. You should just start playing like ads on the TVs, get an ad deal or something like Netflix and Amazon have done.
I mean,
with their videos.
Your coffee daily is more expensive than the gym membership.
Yeah. By a lot. Yeah.
By quite a bit. Yeah.
A matcha latte is like $8.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's That's a good selling point though. A lot of the time it's like, how much do you like? It's a chocolate bar, a couple chocolate bars.
Yeah.
It's 3 coffees and you already paid for.
Yeah. So I think it's such, I can't believe we're so cheap.
Tell you what, for the industry to not have really grown in terms of cost for the consumer, but to still maintain very, reasonable margins, I don't know how that's come about.
It is tough, but then you also have to look at it like that's kind of like how an industry works, isn't it? In the beginning, electric cars, it was super expensive.
Yeah.
And now people do it for twice as good for half the price.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, technology has got lots to do with it. Also just market saturation. And in the beginning, there's high differentiation. And then it becomes like, you're popping up in locations and the fittest survive. So then the price does come down a bit. Also, I do think it changed a little bit. Like back then, when before the 24-hour gym thing, right? It was more like full service health clubs. But now a lot of express gyms pop up where they don't have trainers, they don't have classes, they're not fussed with added on services, kind of like just help yourself. So yeah, I guess some of them now are just offering a little less service. And the ones that are offering equivalent service as 20 years ago, they probably are more expensive now relatively.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like if we use a company Fitness First as an example of it, I'm pretty sure their pricing has gone up over the years.
Yeah. What about if you were talking to a young adult and they were on the fence of like, oh, should I get into the gym industry or not? As business, what would be your selling point?
Probably say no, because frankly, I don't need the competition. But
well, of course. Oh, let's say they're in Nevada, Las Vegas.
No, I'm joking. But all right. So I'm thinking that it all comes down to if you love the industry, right? All of this is worth it. For me, I think if you have to ask, like if people have to ask, oh, should I get into the gym industry? I honestly think probably no, because you aren't sure about this. If you're deciding something between the gym industry and real estate, I would argue something like real estate is probably more trialed and proven.
Right, yeah.
And has more, people will see it as a more secure investment. But the gym stuff, if you love it and you're going to be the one that's operating it, then sure. Then yes.
Okay.
Then if you love it, you can't go wrong.
So you got to have a passion for it.
I think so.
Otherwise, if you're looking at for a conduit for, I don't know, return, like especially on a startup, maybe go somewhere else if you're not 100% in it.
If you're doing it purely for a business reason, then have a look around. There are probably other more lucrative business paths.
Yeah.
But if this is what you like, the gym side of it, understand is very different. If you're a personal trainer that you enjoy training people, changing lives one at a time, and you want to do something like a gym where quantities of people walk in and out, that's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
So you probably want to do like a studio thing. That's probably closer to what you enjoy. The gym thing, it can be quite different.